Magst du die Tür zumachen?
Ich dich auch.
Ich liebe dich auch.
Ja, ich dich auch.
Ja.
Ja.
Welcome everyone. We hit 15,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, thanks to you. And I asked for your questions to make another Q&A video. And boy, did you deliver. We have something to do today, so let's get started. But first, dramatic intro. Well, my mustache is already off, but doesn't matter, because I will do this Q&A with some alcohol, because the first and most important question was Altbier oder Kölsch, and I have to say Altbier. And for those who cannot relate to this question, I do live in Cologne, which is in Western Germany, but I'm originally from the Niederrhein area, which is quite close, and there's a local rivalry between people from Cologne and from the Niederrhein area, especially Düsseldorf, which is the biggest city in the Niederrhein area. And in Cologne, you drink Kölsch, which is a blonde beer brewed with top fermentation, and Altbier is a dark beer, but also brewed in top fermentation method. Yeah, and cheers to you. Thanks again for the 15k. Another fun fact, this is Hellas Alt, which is an Altbier brewed in Cologne. Yes, the funny thing is that you are allowed to brew Altbier in Cologne, but you're not allowed to brew Kölsch outside of Cologne. Not anymore, at least. Yeah. Tolerante und weltoffene Stadt Köln. Pff. Okay, first proper question. Which tips would you give women who want to dress in classic man clothing style? Well, the first thing I would advise is look for example, waistcoats and jackets that are not too tight in the chest area, and just try to take in as much fabric as at the waist as possible. But of course, I'm not a professional tailor, so if you're looking for inspiration for women that dress in classic menswear, there's one historical and quite popular one, which is Marlene Dietrich, who completely nailed this. And I will try to look for one or two Instagram accounts that might serve as inspiration for you. Links in the video description. Okay? Next question. What is your favorite women's wear style or women's wear style? I don't think I do have a particular women's wear style that I'm drawn to. Of course, Rachel Maxey and Bernadette Banner, I love their aesthetic. Rachel is a style icon for herself, and I also really like this witchy dark academia Victorian style that Bernadette is pursuing. Dark academia in general is a nice thing. Yeah, I guess that's it. Not very satisfying answer, but yeah. Who is going to be your Dr. Watson? This would probably be Matthias. You might have seen Matthias already in the Peaky Blinders lookbook videos I shot, and he's also known as Fein Heraus on Instagram. Also a link in the video description. He's a good friend of mine, and yeah, I already assigned the task to him to like look for or make a Dr. Watson outfit, and maybe at some point in the future we can make like another Sherlock short film like we did for Peaky Blinders, and then we have Sherlock and Dr. Watson. Yeah. Okay, next question. When are you making more 14th century kit? You look so good in it. Oh, Courtney, thank you. Yeah, that's a cool question. I was already planning on doing a get ready with me video putting on my knight's armor. The problem is I need help for that. The good thing is this would also be provided by Matthias, because back in the day when I was more active in the LARPing community in Germany. Matthias was actually my squire. He's a knight now, but he definitely knows how to put my armor on me and how to assist me while filming. So I guess sooner or later Matthias and I will shoot some, again, getting ready with me a video on my 14th century knight's armor. And I'm also planning on doing a similar video with my Skjoldahan find Viking stuff, sooner or later at least. And the good thing about this is I don't need help to put that on. Yay me! Next question. Do you think that younger people are becoming more interested in classic classic clothing? Sorry. If yes, why? And I had a similar question from another person. Do you see a return of classic menswear not only on the internet but also in the streets? And yes, I think so. I guess there is a certain revival, not so much in the mainstream, because there's an opposite development. Because, for example, in German banks, you're not obliged to wear a tie anymore, and generally the business suit is not that required anymore, at least in Germany. Which is okay for me. You might think that I'm opposed to this development, but it's okay for me. Everyone should wear what he or she or they like. But the cool thing is that, for example, well, not that cool exactly, but my father, for example, did not show me how to tie a tie or how to wear a suit. This is stuff I taught myself because I wanted to. And I see that more and more in younger people, which is cool, because if you now see someone in the streets wearing a suit, it's way more probable that this person does it because they think it's a cool thing and they are passionate about it, passionate about classic menswear and dressing up and so on, and not so much people that need to wear a suit because they have to. Okay, so yeah, I think younger people tend to get more into classic clothing than in the couple of decades before, and I think it's quite cool, because again, the people getting into classic clothing are more passionate about it. Okay, what do you wear around your house? I'm really into Henley shirts, to be honest. I really like my suspenders, high-waisted trousers. I still do own a pair of jeans. Maybe I will ritually burn them like Czech did it, but I don't know yet. But again, like just high-waisted trousers, Henley shirts, and I like to sleep in my old metal shirts, because you might have realized that I'm a metalhead, and I still own a couple of old band shirts, and I really like to wear them when I sleep. Yeah, fun fact. Okay, what is your dream item of clothing that you would love to have someday? That's difficult, because I think there is none now. I really wanted to get a full bespoke suit in the past, but now I have one, or two, to be honest. Two full bespoke suits made after a 1920s pattern, historically accurate, made exactly for me, and these are probably my favorite suits. But that's it. I don't know if there's anything I can top that with. Lederhosen. A fun curio of German folk costume, or just overrated Bavarian knickers that should burn and die. Folk clothing, folk costume is a part of culture, and I would never ever say that part of someone's culture, even Bavarian culture, which is quite special, of course. I would never ever say that a part of someone's culture should burn and die. I don't think lederhosen are for me. I would really like to own a linen janker at some point because I think they look really cool and are really comfortable. But lederhosen is not for me, but that doesn't mean anything, you know? I think I would go for for option 1. It's a fun curio of German folk costume. Firstly, do you have any plans to try constructing your own suits, jackets or trousers? In fact, I did already sew my own trousers and a waistcoat. I will for sure do a jacket at some point. I don't know if I will do a full suit because I'm lazy, very lazy. Secondly, could you perhaps make a video detailing the history of men's headwear? This is a really cool suggestion and I will definitely put that on my YouTube idea list. Thank you. Does anyone in your family share your interest or just friends? No, nobody in my family shares my interest. Again, my father didn't tell me or teach me how to wear a suit, how to tie a tie or something like this. No uncle, no aunt, no nothing. I got into classic menswear all by myself and now I have friends who are into classic menswear and that's cool. Have you ever been to Czech Republic? Also, do you prefer living in Europe or would you like to move away to another country? Okay, so have I been to the Czech Republic? Yes, I have. My first thought was, have I ever been? No. But I have been. I guess it was in 2008 or 2009. Back in the day when I was a member in a grindcore band. I played bass guitar and made backing vocals. And we played two gigs in the Czech Republic, actually. Yeah. I really like it here in Western Germany. However, I could see myself living in Great Britain or Ireland, of course, but I don't think I would ever move out of Europe. How did you learn tailoring? Well, I started when I was 15 years old when I started LARPing, and back then you didn't have that many LARP shops in Germany, so you could not buy that much, and the shops that were there were pretty expensive, and I was a student, so well, I really needed to make the stuff myself. So I did, and that's how I learned tailoring. I started with, you know, like your generic medieval tunics and developed over the years to classic menswear, but I wouldn't consider myself a good tailor. How to meet other vintage menswear interested people? Do you know any big vintage communities? That's a cool question. And apart from some Facebook groups, I actually don't know any vintage communities, but maybe you can help him. Put your thoughts or links in the comment section to, I don't know, any other Facebook groups, Instagram groups, I don't know, forums on the internet. Maybe there are already vintage dating platforms. That would be interesting. Yeah, well, help this guy out. Where can you find the big vintage communities and how can you become a part of it? Almost forgot the drinking. Can you do a video or tell me what men working in agriculture or the factories would wear from the 1900s to 1940s? I'm not an expert for agriculture. But the good thing is I was already planning on doing something on, you know, like Edwardian 1920s or vintage workwear in general. So that's already on my video list. For young men interested in vintage style, do you think dating would be easier or harder than for the average chap? Okay, I think I told you a couple of minutes ago I'm a metalhead, and as part of the metalhead community, I found it always quite easy to find other people from this, I'd call it subculture, and I would think so for the vintage community. But the problem is maybe the vintage community isn't that big. I'm really curious if there is a vintage dating platform, because that would be so cool. Not as I need need a dating platform because I already have a partner. but I would find that really interesting and cool. Because again, that would make it quite easy to find other people interested in this kind of stuff. Yeah, when there's no dating platform and no big forum or online community, what I found pretty cool is going to certain theme parties. But in Germany there's the Bohème Sauvage, a series of parties all around Germany, which also take place in Cologne, a 1920s Gatsby theme party. Well, and at least some of the people do it with a certain passion, and you can meet quite cool people on these parties. For example, Sebastian, who I wrote the book with, I met at a Bohème Sauvage party. So that might be a good idea to try out. What was your biggest inspiration for dressing in classic menswear? I have to be honest with you, I guess I told you in my transformation video, part of my classic menswear transformation was becoming a member of a student fraternity, and our house was built in the 1920s and the fraternity was founded in 1876. So we have one room, the club room, as you might call it, where you have a lot of photos from all the members. Well, of course, most of them died already, but it's really cool to see how the fashion of our members changed from 1876 through the 20s to, well, 50s, 60s to now. And of course, my photo is in this gallery too now. And my fashion choice, my grooming choices for most of all were quite questionable when I made the photo that is now hanging in the gallery. But that was quite inspiring to see all the old photos from like around 1900 and so on. So yeah, this might be one of my biggest inspirations for dressing classic menswear. Let's not forget to drink. Yeah, please name some types of vintage watches best for suits. I don't know anything about wristwatches. I do have a couple of pocket watches, but nothing special. So I would recommend to you to go to a fellow German YouTube account called Caseback Watches. He's from Hamburg, I guess. Tim. He's a great and charming guy. Caseback Watches. I will put a link to his YouTube channel in the video description. He knows everything there is to know about watches, so subscribe to him. Are you planning more sewing projects for the channel? Oh yes, definitely. I'm already in the editing process of the detachable collar video I promised for quite some time. I did this video with Sebastian, which is on the one hand quite cool because he's a pro and he has some really great tricks for sewing a collar, for example. However, we did produce the video in German, so he's talking German all the time, and I didn't want to just make subtitles, but I will put in the effort to make actual dubbing. So I will dub the video to help you understand it and like for a better video flow, but this will take some time. We will upload the German video on his channel and the English version on mine. Cool? Cool. Yeah, on top of that, I will definitely do a waistcoat video at some point, or maybe two. I was really inspired by Antique Menswear's video on these fake Edwardian waistcoats. I think I want to reproduce one of those, and I really want to do an early 19th century outfit. Yeah, but I haven't thought about that too much, so be patient with me. But there are a lot more sewing projects coming up. In your opinion, which is the reason for the disparity of interest, or at least publicly showing interest in vintage clothing between male and female audience? That's a tough question. So first of all, I think men tend to prefer a certain uniformity, whereas females are a lot more creative when dressing, or especially when dressing up. You can also see this when you're looking for like classic menswear videos on YouTube. Most of them are videos about rules, style rules, dressing rules, because men like to stick to the rules. I'm not one of those men, I would say. I don't like to stand out that much, but I got used to it. Let's say that. So I guess these may be reasons for the disparity of interest, but this could be actually a nice research topic for someone who is actually fashion historian, researcher, or sociology. How do you say it? Sociology? No. Soziologie? I don't know. Sorry. Okay, so my battery died. I did, 10 questions while drinking, and now I have to start over. So, yay! As well, you find inspiration in old photos and paintings. Do you use also old movies, maybe like Fred Astaire style or someone else? I have to be honest, my attention span is very, very... Oh, a squirrel! No, but honestly, my attention span is quite short and old movies bore me. Sometimes a lot. So there are a few exceptions. For example, Feuerzangenbowle with Heinz Rühmann, quite a traditional German movie. Also a nice inspiration piece for classic menswear. But yeah. Old movies, not so much. Where did you get your collar clasp? That's a good question. I'm wearing one right now. The one I'm wearing right now, I got this at a vintage shop in Berlin. This is something I found on eBay, the simplest version maybe. And then I found this true vintage piece also at the vintage shop in Berlin. What is your favorite garment that you own and why? Probably my two full bespoke suits made by Sebastian Hofs. What are your plans for future content? There's a lot. I'm definitely doing this detachable collars video because it's already in the editing process. Yeah, well, on the battery shock, another cheers. Oh, I don't know if I introduced you. This is what I'm drinking right now. Hazelnut liquor, put in a motor oil bottle. Not actually a motor oil bottle, but marketing and stuff. Clip suspenders can be used with vintage outfits. If so, in what specific year were they used, etc. pp. Yeah, to be honest with you, I do not like clip-on suspenders. I would always recommend using proper suspenders that you use with buttons. So I don't know in which year they would be theoretically correct. I can just recommend not using them. Okay. In Kokowit, didn't I hear you say that you have 2 children? Any chance of dapper vintage Bursche children content? Yeah, my daughters are 6 and 8, and I'm quite protective of their privacy, so probably not. It will take some more years for them to be big enough, so I'm comfortable with them on being on camera, if you know what I mean. I did your marvelous tutorial for detachable collar shirts. How do you hang your shirts in order to avoid wrinkles if they do not have a top button on it anymore? Cheers. There are two easy solutions. First one is using a safety pin, and the second option is, of course, using the using the separate studs you need anyway to put on a collar on your shirt. My question is, what pattern companies are your favorite and which one do you recommend? This might be a very unsatisfying answer, but I do not use patterns. I do patterns myself all the time with instructions from the internet, from books, or now from Sebastian Hofs, a good friend, you know, all that stuff, because he's a genius and I just like it that way. So I cannot recommend any company, any pattern company, sorry. I can just recommend our sewing book. Link in the video description. Single or double-breasted? Do I have to choose? My first thought would be double-breasted because I really like the double-breasted aesthetic. However, when I look into my wardrobe, I do have a lot more single-breasted jackets and waistcoats than double-breasted. So I'm torn. I'm really torn. I don't know. Can I have both, please? Around what temperature do you start wearing an overcoat? Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I do tend to wear thicker suits when it gets cold, and when I look at my tweed and flannel suits, it needs to be very cold to still have the need for an overcoat. So I would say, I don't know, around 5 degrees Celsius. Yeah. Do you still plan on making a sewing tutorial on how to make detachable collars? As I said, yes, I'm already in the editing process of this video. We already shot it. In the next couple of weeks, we will release this video. Do you like Rammstein? Yes, I do like Rammstein. It's not my favorite band, but I do listen to Rammstein occasionally. Will you be doing a physical book in English? Yeah, well, again, very unsatisfying answer, but sadly no. We would need, I don't know, 300 or 400 pre-orders to print a physical book, and this hasn't happened yet. So we are not planning on doing a physical book in English. You still need to take into account that shipping overseas from Europe is a pain in the ass. We had, I guess, 1 or 2 orders from the US for a German German hard copy, and yeah, let's say the shipping costs are as expensive as the book itself, and this is very, very unsatisfying. Any news on the possible Gentlemen of Costube podcast? Yeah, I don't think we will do a podcast on this, but we are discussing already to do at least one, maybe probably several follow-up videos. But beware that we will do those videos on other channels, I guess. Maybe on Still Beast Studios or Matthew Chalmers, the cool guy from Australia who turns couches from the side of the road into like 19th century couture. Check him out. I will put the link to his YouTube account into the video description. Okay. Do you often wear a 3-piece suit in your everyday life? Everyday life, what does that mean? Pre-corona, definitely. I wore a suit to work every day, except maybe casual Fridays. Yeah, and when I wear a suit, I almost exclusively wear either 3-piece suits or double-breasted suits. So I would say they were part of my everyday life. Let's see how fast we can get back to normal. Favorite kind of hat? Yeah, I prepared something. My favorite kind of hat is the Homburg, because for me it's like a hybrid between a fedora and a bowler hat, which are already quite cool kinds of hats. But if I had to choose one, this is my favorite. Yeah, well, cheers. What's your favorite part in the shooting, editing part of making a video? Well, at first I really hated editing. Now editing is okay for me, but yeah, when I still would say that shooting is far more fun, and I realized that when we did the Peaky Blinders lookbook videos, Matthias and I, that I really like filming someone else using my gimbal and my drone and so on, because in the end I am a computer science techie geek. I'm just wearing vintage clothes. Do you like going to concerts? Definitely yes, but I'm also very old and lazy, so I do not do that very often anymore. My last big concert probably was, I don't know, Cannibal Corpse in Cologne. Was it last year or the year before that? I don't know. It's interesting if you at least know Cannibal Corpse. Do you know Cannibal Corpse? Tell me in the comment section. What languages do you speak? So apparently ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. German is my native language. English is my first foreign language, and also j'ai appris la française à l'école, mais j'ai tout oublié.
Shut up,
That's that. Will there be more sewing tutorials for beginners in the future? I will definitely do more sewing tutorials. I will try to do them as beginner friendly as possible. Yeah, maybe for example like how to alter your suit or jacket, or I don't know. But yeah, I will keep that in mind. Should I have my clothes tailored if I'm a teenager? Doesn't matter if you're a teenager or an adult. Definitely go to an alterations tailor with the suits and jackets and so on that you buy vintage or off the rack, because I'm pretty sure you need to alter something. And alterations do not cost that much, and they change a lot for the aesthetic. So I would say, even as a teenager, go to an alterations tailor and get your clothes tailored. How have you been, you awesome lad? How have you been, awesome lowrider 115? I've been pretty good, thank you. And I will hijack this question to tell you about our living situation, because we will move in the next 2 or 3 months, which will also lead to less videos until the end of the year probably, because you know, like, moving is a lot of work too. But the cool thing is that I will have again my own room in the new flat, and we will own the new flat. This is rented. As some of you might know from like Instagram, that we have very ugly floorboards here, which will not be the case in the new flat. I'm taking care of the room I will have for like working and shooting videos, that I can make videos from every angle, so nothing ugly is in the way. I'm pretty excited for the new flat. It's built right now, it's a new one. I know it would be so much cooler to move into an old building in Altbau in Germany, but Cologne is already very expensive, and we could not afford it to do that. So yeah, well, we put a lot of thought into that and decided for the new building. So yeah, well, someone's home. Hallo Schatz.
Hallo.
Magst du die Tür zumachen?
Ich dich auch.
Ich liebe dich auch.
Ja, ich dich auch.
Ja.
Ja.
That's that. Hello, where do I submit my photo for the next installment of rating our outfits? Thank you for the question. I do get that a lot. Be sure, as long as you follow my channels, that I will announce the next installment in advance, and you will have enough time to submit your photo. Please do not send it to me right now, because it will probably get lost in the mail. Yeah, and I'm planning on doing another installment of this outfit rating videos when I get to 20k please, for example. If I get at 20k at all, at some point, ever, I don't know. Yeah, that's that. And then we have the final 2 questions, which I added with pencil because they were late entries. How do you feel about military style? Knee-high boots, galley felts, and so on. Yeah, well, military style is already a very big influence for classic menswear in general. So it's very interesting. I do like a lot of military style clothes, but I don't know if I'm into knee-high boots and this like riding pants. Generally, the First and Second World War stuff is difficult because of reasons. So I'm very cautious with that, but nevertheless, knee-high boots are not for me, to be honest. That's it. Yeah, and final question. Cheers to the final question. Where to get 1920s suit with high buttoning? That's a difficult question because 1920s tailoring needs to be shaped to your body, and at least the early 1920s stuff. But let's take all the late 1920s stuff into account too. So the best results you will of course get when you go full bespoke. So search for a tailor that can provide you with the services you need, who is into classic menswear and the vintage stuff and knows what he's doing. But of course, going fully bespoke is very, very expensive. What you can also do is like buy a modern suit and alter it. I already did a video on that called Faking Vintage, I think, where I explain how I think modern suits should be altered to look more vintage. And then there are a couple of brands, especially from the UK, that do produce according to historical patterns, which are really nice. For example, Simon James Cathcart or Thomas Farthing. They are included in my list of shops and brands. Link in the video description again. Q&A while drinking. Tell me what you think. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the 15k. And hopefully, if you're not already subscribed, you're subscribed now. Cheers again, and see you soon.